Kris Kristofferson, a name synonymous with raw talent, poetic lyrics, and a life lived on his terms. Kristofferson is a singer, songwriter, actor, and Rhodes Scholar. Born in Texas, Kristofferson's early life was marked by both privilege and a yearning for something more. He excelled academically, earning a coveted Rhodes Scholarship to study at Oxford University. Yet, fate had other plans. The allure of music, particularly the storytelling tradition of country and folk, tugged at Kristofferson's soul. This internal conflict, the pull between a life of intellectualism and the raw passion of a musician, would shape his early years and set the stage for an extraordinary journey. The decision to abandon a promising academic career wasn't easy. It went against the grain of expectations, especially those of his family. But Kristofferson, driven by an unwavering belief in his artistry, chose to follow his heart. He traded the hallowed halls of Oxford for the honky-tonks of Nashville. This was a gamble, a leap of faith into the unknown. Nashville in the late 1960s was a melting pot of musical talent. Kristofferson, with his rugged good looks and introspective lyrics, stood out from the crowd. His songs weren't your typical country fare. They were raw, poetic, and often dealt with themes of love, loss, and social justice. He worked odd jobs, even famously taking a job as a janitor at Columbia Records to make ends meet. All the while, he continued to hone his craft, writing songs and performing at any club that would have him. Nashville, despite its initial resistance, couldn't ignore Kristofferson's talent for long. His songs, often passed over by established artists, began to find their way onto the radio. Artists like Johnny Cash, Jerry Lee Lewis, and Janis Joplin recognized the depth and authenticity in his writing. They began recording his songs, turning them into hits. Me and Bobby McGee, a song Kristofferson penned about freedom and wanderlust, became a defining anthem of the era. Janis Joplin's soulful rendition of the song reached #1 on the charts, solidifying Kristofferson's status as a songwriting force. Success, however, didn't change Kristofferson. He remained grounded, shunning the excesses often associated with fame. As Kristofferson's songwriting career flourished, Hollywood beckoned. His rugged charm and undeniable screen presence caught the eye of filmmakers. In 1976, he starred alongside Barbra Streisand in the remake of A Star is Born. His performance as John Norman Howard, a fading rock star, earned him a Golden Globe Award for Best Actor. The success of A Star is Born catapulted Kristofferson to a new level of fame. Yet, he remained true to his roots, never losing sight of the values and experiences that shaped him. Whether through song or on screen, he possessed an innate ability to connect with audiences on an emotional level. His authenticity shone through, making him one of the most captivating and enduring figures in entertainment. Kris Kristofferson's story begins in Brownsville, Texas, on June 22, 1936. The Rio Grande Valley, with its blend of cultures and wide-open spaces, provided a rich backdrop for his formative years. His father, an Air Force general, instilled in young Kris a strong sense of discipline and a thirst for adventure. His mother, a homemaker with a love for literature, nurtured his creative side, encouraging his early forays into writing. Life in a military family meant frequent moves. From Texas to California, Kris experienced different cultures and environments, broadening his horizons. These observations would later become the foundation of his songwriting. Following in his father's footsteps, Kris attended San Mateo High School in California. His academic prowess was evident, and he quickly rose to prominence, becoming class president and a star athlete. Graduation brought with it the weight of expectations. His family envisioned a prestigious career for young Kris, perhaps in law or medicine. He, however, felt the allure of a different path, one that embraced his family's military tradition. He enrolled at Pomona College in 1954, choosing to study literature while also participating in the ROTC program. At Pomona, Kris continued to shine, earning a bachelor's degree in literature with honors in 1958. He seemed destined for a life of achievement, yet a restless spirit stirred within him. Upon graduating from Pomona College, Kris received a prestigious Rhodes Scholarship. This highly competitive scholarship, awarded to only a handful of exceptional students each year, offered him a fully funded opportunity to study at Oxford University. At Oxford, Kris pursued a degree in English literature. He dove into the works of classic authors, exploring themes of love, loss, and the search for meaning. He wrote short stories and poetry, honing his craft and developing a unique voice that reflected his diverse influences. It was during this period that his passion for music began to blossom. Oxford, with its vibrant music scene, provided the perfect backdrop for Kris's musical awakening. He picked up a guitar, teaching himself to play, and began writing songs that reflected his own experiences and observations. As Kris delved deeper into the world of music, he found himself torn between his academic pursuits and his burgeoning passion for songwriting. He spent his days immersed in literary classics and his nights performing at local pubs, his soulful voice and introspective lyrics captivating audiences. The more he played, the stronger the pull of music became, whispering promises of a different kind of life. His family, however, remained oblivious to this internal struggle. They envisioned him returning from Oxford with a doctorate, embarking on a distinguished career in academia. Kris, caught between fulfilling their expectations and honoring his own artistic yearnings, found himself at a crossroads. The decision to pursue music wasn't an easy one, and yet, the allure of music, the urge to share his stories with the world, proved too strong to resist. In 1960, Kris made the life-altering decision to leave Oxford before completing his doctorate. He returned to the United States, his head filled with melodies and his heart set on a career in music. His family was shocked and disappointed, their dreams for their son seemingly dashed. But Kris, driven by an unwavering belief in his artistic vision, refused to be swayed. He enlisted in the Army, his sense of duty and adventure leading him to become a helicopter pilot. He was assigned to West Germany, where he continued to write songs and perform whenever he could. The military provided him with structure and discipline, but it couldn't extinguish the fire of his musical aspirations. And so, in 1965, after completing his military service, Kris Kristofferson made the fateful decision to move to Nashville, ready to chase a dream that seemed both impossible and inevitable. Nashville in the mid-1960s was a city pulsing with musical energy. Aspiring songwriters and seasoned musicians flocked to its bustling streets, all chasing the same elusive dream, to make it big in the world of country music. For Kris Kristofferson, fresh from his military service and armed with a guitar case full of songs, it was both exhilarating and daunting. He rented a small apartment, a far cry from the hallowed halls of Oxford or the regimented barracks of the Army. It was a humble abode, but it provided him with a sanctuary, a place where he could write and rehearse, pouring his heart and soul into his music. He spent his days pounding the pavement, knocking on doors, hoping to get his songs heard. The Nashville music scene, however, was a tough nut to crack. Competition was fierce, and rejection was a constant companion. Kris, with his raw, introspective lyrics and unconventional melodies, didn't quite fit the mold. Undeterred by the initial setbacks, Kris Kristofferson refused to give up on his dream. He took odd jobs to make ends meet, working as a construction worker, a bartender, even a helicopter pilot, ferrying tourists over the city. He famously took a job as a janitor at Columbia Records, the very label that housed some of country music's biggest stars. It was a humbling experience, cleaning the floors and emptying the ashtrays of the very studios where musical legends recorded their hits, but it also gave him a glimpse into the inner workings of the music industry, a behind-the-scenes perspective that fueled his determination. He would often leave his demo tapes on producers' desks, hoping that someone, anyone, would recognize the potential in his songs. Word began to spread about the janitor with the extraordinary talent. Fellow musicians, recognizing the depth and honesty in his lyrics, were drawn to his music. One evening, while performing at a small club in Nashville, Kris Kristofferson caught the attention of Marianne Wilkin, a renowned songwriter who had penned hits for Elvis Presley and Johnny Cash. Impressed by his raw talent and poetic lyrics, she took him under her wing, becoming his mentor and champion. She introduced him to key figures in the music industry, opening doors that had previously been closed. With Wilkin's guidance, Kristofferson's career began to gain traction. His songs, previously overlooked, started finding their way into the hands of established artists. Roy Drusky's rendition of Jody and the Kid became a minor hit, giving Kristofferson his first taste of commercial success. Dave Dudley's recording of Vietnam Blues brought Kristofferson's music to a wider audience. These early successes, while encouraging, did little to change Kristofferson's humble demeanor. In 1969, Johnny Cash, already a country music legend, recorded Kris Kristofferson's Sunday Morning Comin' Down. The song, a poignant reflection on loneliness and longing, became a massive hit, reaching #1 on the country charts and crossing over to the pop charts. Cash's soulful delivery, perfectly capturing the raw emotion of Kristofferson's lyrics, resonated deeply with audiences across generations. The success of Sunday Morning Comin' Down was a turning point in Kristofferson's career. It solidified his reputation as a songwriter of exceptional depth and sensitivity. His songs, often characterized by their vivid imagery, relatable characters, and unflinching honesty, offered a glimpse into the human condition. Kristofferson's star was on the rise, but he remained remarkably grounded. Encouraged by the success of his songs in the hands of other artists, Kris Kristofferson decided to step into the spotlight himself. In 1970, he released his debut album, Kristofferson. The album, showcasing his raw vocals, introspective lyrics, and unconventional melodies, was a critical and commercial success. Kristofferson wasn't your typical Nashville sound. It was rough around the edges, infused with elements of folk, rock, and blues, reflecting his diverse musical influences. His lyrics, often poetic and thought-provoking, delved into themes rarely explored in mainstream country music. The album's success took many by surprise. Here was a Rhodes Scholar, an Army veteran, a former janitor, who had seemingly stumbled into the world of country music. Yet he possessed a rawness, an authenticity that resonated deeply with audiences. As his music gained wider recognition, Kris Kristofferson found himself at a crossroads. He could have easily capitalized on his newfound fame, churning out radio-friendly hits and embracing the trappings of stardom. But that wasn't Kris. He remained true to his artistic vision, refusing to compromise his integrity for commercial success. He continued to write songs that challenged conventions, that spoke truth to power, that celebrated the outcasts and the underdogs. He surrounded himself with like-minded musicians, forming deep connections with artists like Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings, and Willie Nelson. The stage was set for Kris Kristofferson to become a major force in the world of country music. By the early 1980s, Kris Kristofferson was a major force in country music. He joined forces with Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings, and Willie Nelson to form the Highwaymen. Together, they achieved legendary status. Their voices blended seamlessly, creating something truly special. They released 3 platinum albums and toured extensively. For Kristofferson, it was a high point, making music with his closest friends. Me and Bobby McGee, an anthem of freedom. One of Kris Kristofferson's most enduring songs, Me and Bobby McGee, became an anthem for a generation. Joplin's soulful rendition captured the hearts of millions. The song topped the charts, becoming a bittersweet reminder of her incredible talent. Me and Bobby McGee tells the story of 2 free spirits, drifting across America. Each interpretation brings a unique perspective, but the core message remains timeless. Section 3. Love and collaboration with Rita Coolidge. Kris Kristofferson found love with fellow singer-songwriter Rita Coolidge. Their relationship was passionate and tumultuous, marked by creative collaboration and personal challenges. Their voices blended beautifully, adding depth and emotion to their duets. They recorded several albums together, their love story playing out both on and off the stage. Section 4. Artistic Exploration and Experimentation. As the 1970s progressed, Kris Kristofferson continued to evolve as an artist. He refused to be confined by the expectations of the country music establishment. He experimented with different sounds, incorporating elements of rock, folk, and blues into his music. He collaborated with a diverse range of artists, pushing his creative boundaries and exploring new musical territories. He released albums like Spooky Lady's Sideshow and Easter Island, which showcased his willingness to experiment with different musical styles. He collaborated with artists like Donnie Fritz and Billy Swan, their shared love of music leading to innovative and sometimes unexpected sounds. Kristofferson wasn't afraid to take risks, to follow his creative muse wherever it led him. This period of artistic exploration wasn't always met with critical acclaim. Some fans longed for the straight-ahead country sound of his earlier work, but Kristofferson remained true to himself, his artistic integrity always taking precedence over commercial success. He was driven by a desire to create music that was honest, authentic, and true to his own evolving artistic vision. By the mid-70s, Kris Kristofferson's star power had transcended the world of music. His rugged good looks, his undeniable charisma, and his reputation as a talented actor caught the eye of Hollywood. He had already made his film debut in 1971 with a small role in The Last Movie. But it was his performance in the 1973 film Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid that truly showcased his acting chops. In Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, Kristofferson played the legendary outlaw Billy the Kid. His portrayal was both charismatic and tragic, capturing the essence of this complex historical figure. The film, directed by Sam Peckinpah, became a cult classic, further solidifying Kristofferson's status as a rising star in Hollywood. Kristofferson's move into acting wasn't a complete surprise. He had always been a natural storyteller, his songs often painting vivid pictures with their lyrics. Acting provided him with another avenue to explore his craft, to inhabit different characters and bring their stories to life. In 1976, Kris Kristofferson landed the role that would cement his place in Hollywood history. He was cast opposite Barbra Streisand in the remake of A Star is Born. The film tells the story of a fading rock star, John Norman Howard, who falls in love with a talented young singer, Esther Hoffman, played by Streisand. As Esther's star rises, John's descends, leading to a tragic and unforgettable climax. Kristofferson's performance as John Norman Howard was nothing short of breathtaking. He captured the character's charisma, his vulnerability, and his ultimate downfall, with a raw honesty that resonated deeply with audiences. His chemistry with Streisand was electric, their on-screen relationship both passionate and heartbreaking. A Star is Born was a massive critical and commercial success, becoming one of the highest-grossing films of the year. Kristofferson's performance earned him a Golden Globe Award for Best Actor, solidifying his status as a bona fide movie star. The film's soundtrack, featuring songs performed by Kristofferson and Streisand, was equally successful, spawning several hit singles, including the iconic duet, Evergreen. The success of A Star is Born catapulted Kris Kristofferson to a new level of fame. He was now a Hollywood leading man, his face gracing magazine covers. He could have settled into playing romantic leads, but Kristofferson had other plans. He was drawn to roles that challenged him. He showcased his versatility as an actor. He embraced characters that were flawed and vulnerable. He brought raw authenticity to every role. One of the things that made Kris Kristofferson such a compelling screen presence was his ability to convey both strength and vulnerability. He had a quiet intensity, a way of conveying a world of emotion with a single look or gesture. His characters were often men of action, but they were also capable of great tenderness and compassion. In 1979, he starred alongside Sam Elliott in the neo-western The Legacy. The film, a suspenseful tale of a group of strangers terrorized at a remote English estate, allowed Kristofferson to showcase his rugged charm and his ability to command the screen. He brought a quiet strength to his role, anchoring the film's emotional core. The following year, he starred in the crime thriller Carney, playing a world-weary carnival barker who gets caught up in a dangerous game of cat and mouse. Kristofferson's performance was both charismatic and haunting, capturing the allure and the dark underbelly of the carnival world. He brought a lived-in quality to the role, his weathered features and world-weary demeanor suggesting a life filled with both triumphs and regrets. In 1980, Kris Kristofferson took on a role that would become both a career highlight and a source of controversy. He starred in Michael Cimino's epic Western Heaven's Gate. The film was one of the most ambitious and expensive productions of its time. Kristofferson played James Averill, a Harvard-educated marshal. Heaven's Gate was plagued by production problems and cost overruns. Upon its release, the film was met with scathing reviews and became a notorious box office bomb. Despite its troubled production, Heaven's Gate is now considered a misunderstood masterpiece. Undeterred by the Heaven's Gate debacle, Kris Kristofferson continued to work steadily in film throughout the 1980s and beyond. He appeared in a diverse range of genres, from action thrillers to romantic comedies to historical dramas. He seemed equally at home playing cowboys, soldiers, musicians, and ordinary men thrust into extraordinary circumstances. He re-teamed with director Sam Peckinpah for the 1983 action film The Osterman Weekend, a tense Cold War thriller about a group of friends who become pawns in a deadly game of espionage. He starred alongside Burt Reynolds in the 1986 action comedy Heat, playing a washed-up gambler who teams up with his estranged daughter to take down a mob boss. Kristofferson also continued to collaborate with some of the most respected directors in Hollywood. He worked with Alan Parker on the 1991 biographical drama, The Commitments, playing a jaded music producer who takes a chance on a group of working-class Irish musicians. He appeared in Tony Scott's 1993 action thriller True Romance, playing a memorable role as a philosophical hitman. In 1996, Kris Kristofferson gave one of his most acclaimed performances in John Sayles' critically acclaimed neo-Western Lone Star. The film, a complex and nuanced exploration of race, family secrets, and the weight of history in a small Texas border town, gave Kristofferson a role that seemed tailor-made for him. He played Charlie Wade, a corrupt and racist former sheriff whose legacy continues to haunt the present. Kristofferson's performance is both chilling and sympathetic. He doesn't shy away from the character's ugliness, but he also allows us to see glimpses of the man beneath the bigotry and corruption. It's a performance that stays with you long after the credits roll, a testament to Kristofferson's ability to inhabit even the most challenging of characters with honesty and humanity. Lone Star was a critical and commercial success, earning widespread acclaim for its screenplay, direction, and performances. It was a reminder of Kristofferson's enduring talent and his ability to bring depth and complexity to any role he took on. Throughout his acting career, Kris Kristofferson never abandoned his first love music. He continued to write and record songs, releasing albums and touring periodically. He saw no contradiction between his two passions, viewing both acting and music as different forms of storytelling. He even found ways to combine his love of music and film, contributing songs to the soundtracks of some of his movies. He wrote and performed The Pilgrim, Chapter 33, for Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, a haunting ballad that perfectly captured the film's elegiac tone. He sang Casey's Last Ride in Thunderbolt and Lightfoot, a wistful tune about a fading outlaw. For Kristofferson, music and film were two sides of the same coin, two different ways of expressing the same truths about life, love, loss, and the human condition. He approached both with the same honesty, integrity, and unwavering commitment to his craft. And in doing so, he created a body of work that has left an indelible mark on both American cinema and music. Kris Kristofferson's life, while filled with incredible achievements, was not without its share of personal challenges. The same rebellious spirit that fueled his art and captivated audiences also led to periods of turmoil and self-destruction. The pressures of fame, the demands of a relentless career, and the temptations that often accompany success took their toll. The early days in Nashville were particularly challenging. The constant rejection, the financial struggles, and the uncertainty of his chosen path weighed heavily on him. He turned to alcohol to numb the pain and quiet the doubts, a coping mechanism that would later morph into a full-blown addiction. As his star rose, so too did the scrutiny of the public eye. Every misstep, every relationship drama, every personal struggle was amplified by the media. The pressure to maintain a certain image, to live up to the expectations of his fans and the industry, became increasingly difficult to bear. Kris Kristofferson's struggles with alcohol and drug addiction are well documented. He has spoken candidly about his battles over the years, acknowledging the toll they took on his health, his relationships, and his career. There were times when his demons threatened to consume him, to overshadow his talent and derail his life. During the 1970s, his addiction intensified. The pressures of a burgeoning music and acting career, coupled with the breakdown of his first marriage, sent him spiraling. He was drinking heavily, using drugs to excess, and his behavior became increasingly erratic. There were arrests, public outbursts, and periods of isolation as he struggled to get a handle on his addictions. His friends and family watched with concern, hoping he would seek help. There were interventions, attempts at rehab, but it was a long and arduous journey to sobriety. Kristofferson's story is a reminder that addiction doesn't discriminate. It can affect anyone, regardless of their talent, success, or fame. Throughout his life, Kris Kristofferson has experienced the joys and sorrows of love. He has been married 3 times, each relationship leaving its mark on his heart and influencing his music. His first marriage, to Fran Beer, ended in divorce in 1969 after 4 tumultuous years. It was a period of great personal and creative upheaval for Kristofferson, as he navigated the end of his marriage while simultaneously experiencing his breakthrough in the music industry. His second marriage, to singer-songwriter Rita Coolidge, was a whirlwind romance that lasted 7 years. They were musical soulmates, their voices blending beautifully on stage, and their creative partnership yielding several hit songs. But their relationship was also passionate and volatile, marked by infidelity and personal struggles. In 1983, Kristofferson married his current wife, Lisa Myers. Their marriage, which has endured for over 4 decades, has been a source of stability and strength for him. Myers, a lawyer and former athlete, has been credited with helping Kristofferson through some of his darkest times, providing him with unwavering love and support. Despite the personal challenges he has faced, Kris Kristofferson has always emerged from the storm with his spirit intact. He has never shied away from his struggles, using his music as a form of therapy, a way to process his pain and share his vulnerabilities with the world. His songs are filled with honesty, raw emotion, and a depth of feeling that resonates deeply with listeners. In recent years, Kristofferson has found a sense of peace and contentment. He continues to perform, his voice still resonating with the same power and authenticity that captivated audiences decades ago. He is a living legend, an icon whose music has become a part of the American tapestry. His story is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, a reminder that even in the face of adversity, it is possible to find redemption, forgiveness, and ultimately, peace. Kris Kristofferson's life and career have been a testament to the power of following one's own path, of embracing both the triumphs and the challenges that life throws our way. Kris Kristofferson's journey is a tapestry woven from diverse threads. Rhodes Scholar, Army veteran, janitor, songwriter, singer, actor, these are just a few of the roles he's inhabited. He defied expectations, forging a path defined by integrity and a refusal to compromise his artistic vision. He never sought the easy route, embracing the messy complexities of life with open arms. His songs are a reflection of this authenticity. They resonate with raw emotion, capturing the essence of love, loss, hope, and despair. He wrote about the working class, the marginalized, the dreamers, and the drifters, giving voice to those often overlooked. His music became a soundtrack for a generation yearning for truth and substance in a world increasingly dominated by artifice. But Kris Kristofferson's legacy extends far beyond his artistic achievements. He is admired not just for his talent, but for his character. He faced his demons head-on, never shying away from his struggles with addiction and personal turmoil. His willingness to be vulnerable, To share his flaws and imperfections made him all the more relatable, all the more human. Kris Kristofferson's impact on American music and film is undeniable. His songs have been covered by some of the greatest artists of all time. His acting career is marked by memorable performances. He never chased fame, yet it found him. He remained grounded, true to his roots. Today, Kris Kristofferson's legacy continues to inspire.